Okay, welcome back to another class, students. So as promised, I'm giving you a YouTube video to kind of walk you through the new course mechanics post the COVID-19 shutdown and since the transition to a completely online format. So one of the first things you should do to kind of stay on top of the course is you should log into the Blackboard learning management system, and what you're going to see is this is your homepage. So this is the class's homepage with this nice cool picture that I picked out. And like always, I'm going to be communicating to you via the announcements page. Because this is an online class, you're going to have to pay close attention to announcements because that's the only way that I'm going to be able to communicate back and forth with you. Another thing that I want to point out, so we all know about announcements and we've been paying attention to them. We understand how I communicate that way. But we did talk about Blackboard Collaborate in class when I saw you last on Thursday, 2 weeks ago. In order to log into Blackboard Collaborate, what you do is you go to Tools and then you click on Collaborate Ultra. This is really important because my first class of the week was confused by this when I sent the email out. I will definitely not be doing synchronous lectures. I will be doing what are called asynchronous lectures. So synchronous lectures is where everybody logs into Blackboard Collaborate and I give you a traditional lecture real time via an interface that's similar to Zoom, which I'm sure many of you have used at this point. I will not be doing that. I don't think the ACC servers can handle it. It's too glitchy and it's too problematic. I will be doing what are called asynchronous lectures, meaning that your lectures are going to be uploaded in the form of modules or they're going to be uploaded as videos such as YouTube or Camtasia videos. Each of those lectures is going to have a handout associated with it and a quiz associated with it. And when we go over the new course mechanics, I'll show you exactly how to access those things. So what Blackboard Collaborate is going to be used to do is to do study sessions. If you're interested in doing a study session prior to taking an exam, for example, for this next exam coming up that's going to be due next week, right? Or on April 6th, I think, but I'd have to look at the schedule again. And again, we'll look at that schedule in just a moment. Then we can do that, right? You have me for that period of time on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 5:50. If you want to do a study session with me, email me and maybe I can get a group of people that are interested in coming at a defined period of time so we can get the most bang for our buck. But if you have that time set aside anyway, right, I am happy. But we're not doing the lectures as Blackboard Collaborate. It is optional whether you come to a Collaborate session or not. If you have like 103% in the class and you can listen to the lecture, do the handout, and just walk through these exams, you're more than welcome to do that. If you want a little bit of extra help or you just want to attend a study session, even if you're doing well, that's what Blackboard Collaborate is going to be. And you just click on Collaborate. If a session is up, you click to join the session. You can dial in or meaning you can sign in just by clicking, or you can actually dial in. It'll give you a phone number to dial in. You can do it from your phone or you can do it from a laptop. You don't have to have your camera activated, and in fact, I encourage you to turn your mic off unless you want to speak, right? And then you can turn your mic on. Again, I don't actually think Collaborate is as good as Zoom, but Zoom doesn't have the encryption standards that ACC necessitates for maintaining student privacy, so we're going to be using Collaborate. You can also send emails to the entirety of the class under this tab right here called the Send Email tab, and that might help you to do things like coordinate study sessions or talk with other people, etc. Now, the first thing I want you to do, right, now that I've kind of walked you through a few of the tools we're going to be using, is go to Syllabus and Schedule. If you go to Syllabus and Schedule, you'll see syllabus in both Word and PDF format, and if you do it in the PDF format, right, what you're going to see is everything in purple is updated. So everything in black is just the syllabus that you had before. The black print is the syllabus that we had prior. Purple is all updated stuff. So if you go down and you look, for example, at the instructional methodology, you can read through that. I've even underlined it. The grading system, as of right now, whatever you have out of 630 points is what you have. I'm not going and backtracking for people who are like 6 weeks late on homework. No way. I have way too big of a workload on my hands right now. So up until now, there are 630 points. Whatever you have out of 630 points is your grade. The second 8 weeks of the class is going to be associated with 700 points, so there's 700 points still to earn. There's going to be 4 lecture exams slash lab exams worth 100 points a pop. We're going to have one big module quiz at the very end worth 50 points a pop. We're going to have lecture quizzes worth 100 points a pop. I'll show you exactly how you can access those lecture quizzes. We're going to have 2 essays. We're over material that comes up big time in A&P2, each worth 30 points a pop. 2 dissection videos with associated quizzes at 15 points a pop, and 2 anatomy quizzes at 30 points a pop for a total of 700 points. Right now, I am kind of scrambling to get material up, but I have enough up to show you the basic mechanics of the way that the course is going to work. So if we come back here to Syllabus and Schedule in our Blackboard and we go down to Schedule, we can navigate to this link and we can open up the schedule. Remember, March 16th, everything in purple, everything below that for this next 7 weeks of the class is what we're doing. Now notice that for this week, it says Lecture Exam 3 made available at 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, March 31st. At midnight tomorrow, that lecture exam will be up and available. It will be up until Saturday, April 4th at midnight. Right? So you can see all those times. One of the big things about the lecture exams now, and I'm not going to bend on this because I had 2 options through my department. I had allowing you guys to download a Respondus browser, which would have necessitated a camera. It would have filmed you the entire time. You would have had to film your surroundings, and if I suspected cheating, then I would have had to report that as an academic dishonesty, and I would have had that video evidence, or by clamping my exams at a specific time point. So unless you have an SAS accommodation, which a couple people in the class do, you absolutely positively won't be getting extended time on exams. The exam, this one, is clamped at 1 hour and 20 minutes. It is an anti-cheating mechanism. The exam will stop at 1 hour and 20 minutes. If you email me and say, hey, my internet gave out or something like that, I can see exactly how long you were logged into that screen before getting out of it. So try not to do that. And this is a mechanism to prevent cheating. You're going to have to answer some short answer questions. You're going to have to know this. If you have to look every question up, you are going to not do very well on the exam. So unless you have an SAS accommodation, because inevitably people are going to cheat, there's nothing I can do about it except for put a time clamp on it, and I think you'd prefer that to the Respondus lockdown browser. If I start getting a lot of problems with respect to complaints saying, hey, that wasn't enough time, etc., I'll use the Respondus lockdown browser, but no, that's going to necessitate a camera, and I'm going to have to actually invade your privacy, which is something I don't want to do during this time. Now, when you look at Thursday, April 2nd, it says Lecture 1, Unit 4, it should say Unit 4. Oh, all of these say 3 because previously it was 3, but that's not the important part. So Lecture 1, Unit 4, the ECG, sodium potassium pump, and electrophysiology. Thursday, April 2nd is when that lecture is technically going to be given. We also have a lab video up for which there is no associated quiz, and I say very clearly that there's no associated quiz. It just walks you through a couple of the models that you're required to know after this. After each week, I give you a weekly wrap-up. So, for example, Lecture Exam 3 due by 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, April 6th. Timed online quiz over the first lecture due Sunday, April 7th by 11:59 p.m. If you're wondering how to access that, I have a bit of Unit 4 material up. So I have the first lecture for Unit 4 up, which is what you're going to be doing on Thursday. Remember, instructors are typically given 9 months before they're asked to put a class online. I've been given 2 days, right? I've been working on all other classes, and within these last 2 days, I've been working on this class. Now, if you go into the lecture, what you'll see is a YouTube video. Where the cell goes from being like, right? So there will be a YouTube video lecture. There will be a quiz. Now read this, 25 minutes, no backtracking, one at a time questions, because if you're going to cheat with others, you're going to get it out of a random pool. You can't backtrack. You're going to have to print out each page and send like 50 copies. I'm going to make it as big of a pain in the ass for you as I possibly can if you intend on cheating. Now, the handout that corresponds with this lecture is right below, and the PowerPoint that corresponds with this lecture is right below. I suggest doing the handouts as you go through the lecture because you are going to need those later on, and I would highly suggest actually learning the material. So that's how that works. Now, if you go to the labs, when I say lab material is now going to be online, some of the labs will be associated with quizzes, others won't. The brain dissection will be associated with quiz, intro to the nervous system won't. So we have Lab 10, neuron and spinal cord in Word and PDF format. This is walking you through the neuron model that we use. This is walking you through the spinal cord model that we use. Fair game for an exam. No associated quiz. The brain dissection will have an associated quiz, and you can look up any of those in the schedule. Now, if you want to access unit exams, the Unit 3 exam over the skeletal system is not up yet. But if you click on this, when it is up tomorrow by midnight, you're going to see the unit exam crop up. Just remember that unless you have an SAS accommodation, it is clamped at 1 hour and 20 minutes, period. There is no arguing that. There is no putting me off of that. It's either that or via departmental policy, I'm going to have to use a Respondus lockdown browser. So the fewer complaints on that, the better, right? We are all stressed at the moment. I appreciate your stress, and I'm trying to get this class for the people who really need it and want it and to maintain their timeline. Pay me the courtesy back, pretty please, with a cherry on top with sugar coating. So with that said, what I am going to use Blackboard Collaborate for, again, we're not doing synchronous lectures. All the material is up. If you can watch videos, do the handouts, and get through that material without talking to me again, and you're like, thank goodness I don't have to see that guy's ugly mug, that's good. That's great. But if you want to talk to me and you want to join in on study sessions, email me. The first time I'm going to be available for you guys is on Thursday of this week for our regular class time. I will open up a session for that time. If you want to log in, feel free to log in. Give me an email heads up, because I'm just going to have the session open in the background and be looking at it while I do other things. But if you defined or you really want to have a session, right, you get a little bit of more personalized attention, because that lecture is now out of the way. I would do the lecture and come in with something that, come in having studied. Now, again, that exam isn't going to be due until Saturday. I'm going to get a million emails saying, I have this, I have this, I have this. I also have all those things. Make the decision about whether you want to stay in the class or not. I promise you I'm going to be fair. I'm not trying to undermine you, but I also have to maintain that, because if I wiggle one iota on one class, that's 5 classes, 150 students I wiggle on. What you have out of 630 right now is what you have. I'm not accepting a scrap of late work, because I have way too large of a work burden to do that for one student. If you need help, big ups to Adams Lowe. He donated 3 computers. 2 of those have gone to highly needy students. I have 1 left. I'd be willing to check that out to you for the semester, because summer is also going to be, we're going to need computers. Thank goodness for guys like Adams who coming through in the clutch, donating computers that have helped students out who otherwise wouldn't have been able to stay in the class. If you are in need of something like that, let me know. Communicate with me. I also want to help you through this time. I really genuinely do. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Have a good one.